I'm back with Austin having me do his pro bono work yet again. What's your name? What'd you do?
My name's Edward. I top 8'd or got 7th at the Richmond Regional last week with good old Water or Mermail Atlantean.
Nice. Yeah.
Water goodness.
Water greatness. Oh yeah, and the little guy.
You gotta, the mascot.
Yes, sir.
Nice pillow when people combo, or after you combo, you gotta take a little nap. He's right there for you.
Yeah. All right. Not much to say here. Let's start with the main deck.
Okay, main deck. Pretty standard stuff to start with. You got your 3 shiny princes. You gotta represent. You got a max rated the deck out. Looks nice.
Nice.
You got the 3 Dragoon.
The ulties.
3 Abyss Shrine.
Whoa, wait a minute.
One of them's not because zip it. You didn't give me my 3rd one. Okay. 1 Poseidon, the new one. He's debatable. You can either side a 2nd one. I've thought about going to 2. You just come up with the Abyss Shrine going after you do your full combo. You go through 1. 1 in the deck to summon off the Abyss Shrine actually is pretty good instead of just bringing it back off the graveyard. So he's debatable. Going to go to 2 in my opinion. I know what card I would cut for if I went to 2. Heavy Infantry, pretty standard. He's again another one you could up to 2 or side the 2nd one, depending on for going 2nd and whatnot. One that no one really plays. I added this Marksman. Yes, it's because he's ulti. You got to shiny out the deck.
Yeah.
But he does come up with the new Poseidra. Being able to send him off of it and hit 2 back row is very good. Also, summoning this off Prince or what I'm about to show you now, Shadow Squad. He makes it so you can put another body on board in the battle phase, so it's your 5th summon in battle phase, you can get Nibiru, and it's easier to put 8,000 on board.
That's fair.
Then you have, standard Shadow Guard.
What happened to this?
Again, you guys don't help me out find my shiny cardboard.
I tried.
My boy's not representing.
We got you.
Again, one that no one really plays anymore, Megalo. I like him because, he's easier to push for damage. It makes it easy to OTK. Sometimes I'm adding the equip spell does come up. More often than not, he's just a body to get. He's another discard outlet that discards 2, but it's more so just the battle phase to attack twice.
Okay.
3 Teus. Pretty standard, He's just the 1 discard, unlike Poseidra. Everybody's gonna hate me for this one. Just 1 good pike. 1 pike.
Just the one.
I was on the Coelacanth engine with the 3 pike and another fish guy. I decided to cut it. I didn't like the bricks. Yes, the deck does. You want to have it as backup for Dimension Shifter or Droll, but if you're just good and dodge those cards, it's broken.
Just don't deal with them.
there are lines where you can play through it. It's just you need to know your deck well to be able to do it. As far as back to it, standard Moonlight Glacia. 1 Deep Sea Minstrel. This card loves me. I opened this card my first 3 rounds. This and Dragoon. Auto win. They just scoop it up. You go to game 2. It's broken.
Yep, Minstrel TK.
And then now to the hand traps. You got 3 Mulcharmy. I like the water one because you can discard it. Also, I was expecting more Ryzel, which this kind of just destroys. There were Malice, but I dodged them. I mostly played Ryzel.
Yeah.
3 Ash.
So you gotta max out the deck.
Yeah, I'm poor. I can't find my QCR Ashes. The hand traps come later. It's the main monster deck. Main cards. Nibiru. Yeah, it's not max rarity. Same with the Veilers. Those are all the monsters.
Alright.
Then you got the spell cards, 3 of them, 1 for 1. Call by the Grave, and then 1 of the equipped spell.
Makes sense.
Pretty standard.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, the common one. Why no crossout? I just don't like the card because then you have to change your handcraft lineup. If anything, you wouldn't main it, you would side it. It cuts into side deck matchups. It makes your side deck very weird in my opinion. I just don't like the card personally. I'm not going to say I'm better, but I'm just luckier, I guess, to dodge cards and not need them. I did get drolled a couple times, but I had hands where I could play through it. I did get Mulcharmied. a couple times, but again, unless you get both of them, the wind one and the water one, you know, that's the only one you can't really play through. If you get the wind one, you know, your opponent gets maybe one card off you, but if you're good, you can then rip 2 cards with their hand and then just play. They have unplayable, which I actually did in my round 6. So he's just a Rizal player. I minstreled him, made him draw 1. He had 2 Rizal cards in hand, 2 other ones. So I took the chance, ripped the other 2 out of his hands. He drew 1. I was like, you better draw 2 Rizal cards for your turn, or you're not playing. He drew 1. I had the hand trap to stop it, and then he had another level 4, but I had Abyss Shrine with Prince or Heavy in hand to pop the other one, so he couldn't make a rank 4 play, and then it went to my turn, and it was just over from there.
Makes sense.
3 Imperm, and because I play the card in the extra deck, which if I were to up my Poseidon count, this is the card we cut.
Okay,
The Blackout for water.
Okay.
It comes up, yes, it's because of the extra deck, but this would be the one card I would cut. I'm at 41 in the main deck. This would be the one card either to cut it to play 40, or I would cut it and play Poseidon in these main up at the 2.
Fair.
For the extra deck, pretty standard link count, just 3 of them. Everybody sometimes plays this at 2, or the World Sea. Zelantis, yeah. I was playing it, but it's just so niche when it comes up. If you're doing it, you've either already won, or you have to be in the most weirdest spot to actually make it count off. But since you always go through this in your main combat, you're only doing it going second. At that point, you already have other cards to do stuff going second. As far as you got the 2 Bahamut, the 2 Toad, pretty standard. You know, the end board is always Bahamut, 2 Toad.
Classic.
As far as the Mermails, you got the new one. Makes it so much easier to go into the second Bahamut. You got the 1 Gaios, because you know he comes up if you also play Tempai, but I never played Tempai, thank God. The 1 Poseidon, I've also considered going this to 2, just because you do go through it in your main combo, but the equip spell comes up to be able to shuffle it back. But if I did cut 1 card, it would be the Stealth Kraken. Stealth Kraken only really would come up for time, but at that point, if you're going into this, they're just not going to summon anything, and then you don't burn them. So, you know, this deck's supposed to kill fast. You don't need a time card. Everybody says you do. My friends say you do. I don't think you do. The only time you would need is if your friend, the person you're playing, doesn't know what your cards do, and then, you know, they're reading your cards, and, well, you're shut a lot. But welcome to Yu-Gi-Oh! People don't read, so you don't really need it. 1 Dweller. Standard. The 1 Lavirtue Dragon that comes with a trap card, but again, him just adding back Prince is pretty much what he did. He literally added Prince back to my hand all day. The second effect, you detach 1, add Prince back. So then now I have Lacey on the board, or Abyss Shrine in the graveyard, and I pitch the Prince, which then sends itself, which then summons back Poseidon, which then either summons back or targets one of their cards and then sends Heavy Infantry or Marksman to either pop a set card or pop a face-up card. So you're getting 2 cards for 1, which is pretty much what it came up. Trishula, since of the new Xyz, you can make this a lot easier. And then if you have Poseidon, you send this off to the graveyard. Poseidon and Bahamut would make Lacia. So you're getting to rip 3 cards. It actually never came up because I always only make this if they have a card in the graveyard that matters. So a Fiendsmith or something like that. It never really came up. I always made Lavirtue because it was a lot easier because I wanted to get my Prince back. But if I had my Prince already in my hand, I probably would have gone into Trish. But I also think all my combos I went into Poseidon a lot earlier than to make this. I believe I went into Poseidon earlier because I'm not playing the fish. So most of my combos, I was always sending the Dragoon first rather than a Shadow Squad, which everybody always did the Shadow Squad combo. Someone playing send Dragoon, but it dies to a lot easier to hand traps. If you send the Dragoon, you're getting the Abyss Shrine. Now you have a Dragoon in graveyard, so now if Dragoon resolves, you're getting Shadow Squad, and then if you have a discard outlet, regardless, Abyss Shrine plus Shadow Squad summons Pike or another Dragoon, and then Poseidon sends the Prince off the field to the graveyard, which is the other thing you need to bring back the other one from the graveyard, and then there's your first Bahamut Shark, which only problem is that it's more than 5 summons, but normally I would also minstrel beforehand because I just, like I said, that card is glued to my hand. Not saying, you know, I'm not saying I'm cheating or anything, it's just, you gotta draw good with this deck. It helps a lot. And then the one tech spot I have Ravenous Croco Dragon. I sometimes this comes up for game 2 and 3 in my combos. I like to draw more cards to see more side deck cards, so it comes up and it discards more cards to be able to pop more cards. But mostly the time it's just to draw cards because I like drawing cards. Then the side deck, up to your discretion. Everybody can change it. I do 3 draw. I did not practice enough because there probably is a way to do a combo if you get Mulcharmied, regardless of which one, and you start with draw in your hand. I have to figure out when the best chance. Where do I stop on my searching where I'm like, I'm good enough where I don't need to search anymore, and then I can draw them, and am I still going to special summon? But the only problem is with the Mulcharmied, especially the wind one, Bahamut Shark is on a draw 2 for them, which if you do that twice, that's drawing 4 cards. So that's why it's like very niche, and that's why the wind one I think is the worst one, because they're automatically getting at least 4 cards if you're doing a normal combo. 3 Bow of Eclipse came up very well against Ryzel. One time I kept siding this in and then siding the Marksman out like an idiot, forgetting Marksman pops any set card, so it pops a set monster, which very much comes up. But I was stupid and kept siding it out.
It happens.
As far as backer destruction, 2 Cosmic, 1 Harpies. That's all you really needed. Marksman and Poseidra really much dealt with the backer that it needed to, so that's what I thought. And 3 Impulses. I was maining this, but because I changed to Veiler Nib, I thought to side this. And if anything, I would side these in if I went first, knowing it. So I took the Veiler and the Nibs out or just the Nibs. And then this is just another backup to Nib, depending on what combo line I did. And then another go first card, D-Bear.
All right, yeah, not really, especially in there.
Yeah, nothing special on the side deck. Everything's pretty standard.
That's right.
It did help that I won. It was an 8-round tournament. I won 6 out of 8 die rolls, so I got to go first. And then the funny thing is, the one match I lost was against a Kriston player. I lost the die roll, but I won game 1. So technically, I won all my game 1 matches.
Yeah.
So it does help with this deck. I mean, this is a going first deck. It helps a lot to be able to go first. As it did stick with me when Jesse Cotton played this deck before the Poseidra and the XC came out, that this deck was meant to go first. You don't really need those high impact going first, high win cards, aka Coelacanth and whatnot, because you should already be winning game 1, which he's absolutely correct. You should already be winning game 1, unless they just open broken against you, which if they open broken against you, they just wanted it more. You got to understand that with this deck. You got to accept the fact you're going to win game 1 all the time if you open and do your combo correctly. If you don't, and yes, out of all the games I did brick, I believe it was one time, and that was against the Kriston player in game 3. I went first, I bricked, I didn't get to do anything. I had hand traps and the D-barrier set, but I just sequenced it wrong, which didn't allow me to win. So that was my only loss round, was against the Kriston player, which I blame my friend. He didn't let me test against him enough. But hey, you live and you learn.
That's fair.
But that was pretty much it.
All right.
So.
Last thing, you mentioned that outside of the Poseidra, you might do any other changes. So, if you took out like Virtue Stream and put in Poseidra, are there any other changes you'd make, like extra deck or main deck wise? Or?
I think it would probably just be the side deck, maybe. I would probably, the only things I would consider would be maybe adding a heavy infantry or so, because going through one of them, you have to put it back, shuffle it back, and the only ways to shuffle it back are Deep Sea Minstrel or with the Equip spell, and having a second one in the deck can come up a lot. That's the only thing I can maybe say cutting or adding, but I don't know what I would really cut in the side deck for it, because I could just play 42, but that just doesn't seem right in this deck. I think 40, getting it close to 40 is as consistently as possible is best, because you're trying to see Prince. Prince is your main win con, and also seeing Dragoon as another win con. That's why a lot of people, when they used to go for the Shadow Squad, send off Prince. If that gets stopped, if Prince gets stopped, and you don't already have Dragoon in hand, your deck's done.
Yeah.
You need to get Dragoon access. Everybody's forgetting Dragoon is the bread and butter of this deck. It's not a Prince, yes, but Dragoon is the access to the entire deck. If you have access to Dragoon, because he's also the one that the rank 4 or the level 4 you bring back all the time. He's the bread and the butter of the deck that everybody forgets. Yeah, Shadow Squad is a cool card, but Dragoon is still where it's at.
Oh.
Which people I think are forgetting.
Yeah.
They're playing Coelacanth, which is just a win.
It's a win more button.
I get it. It's a niche card because back in the day it was Fish OTK. Yes, it's a card that you play under Shifter. Just dodge Shifter. If you play, I mean, yes, it's easier said than done. Again, the deck is luck based, as Jesse Cotton said before. Yeah, I know I'm listening a lot of Jesse Cotton, but I mean he has experience. I mean, this is my first time topping, so I heard what he said and I was like, okay, let's put it into perspective. I was like, in perspective, unless you're at a local like that play Malice a lot, you're going to see Shifter or Tempai. But at a regional, what's the best deck? And my meta call was Ryzel. I was like, Ryzel doesn't play Shifter. They don't want to Shifter themselves. So I took the meta call and it worked out.
Okay. All right. That was great. Thank you for all the insight. It helps out a lot. Honestly, I think a lot of people will be interested. This was a pretty good deck.
Oh, we got to shout out Dream Wizards, the local center.
Oh yeah.
You know, the boys at Dream Wizards. Help me get my cards. Yeah.
Hey, wait.
The other things. I did have 2 iffy things that I probably should mention. Because I've owned this deck for such a long time. I actually...
Dude, you've known this... I've known you for like so long.
So I used to be a hero player, then I switched to water because I've played in every card game was water. But Necros, I could have played Necros, but it wasn't my playstyle. I did get a warning for marked cards or warped cards.
You're what was it? The Moon Glacier, I think. Yeah, Moon Glacier.
Moon Glacier was like a wave at the top of it, so they were like, I need to replace that. And a couple of my since I've had this deck for so long, like the cards were warped, so they were like either you need to bend them the same way or you need to replace them. And they were just like, it's just these cards, so I just kind of everybody's gonna cringe over this. I bent some of my cards to fit the whole deck. I did also in the second to last round got a warning for drawing cards off of Book of Eclipse because I thought my opponent cut my deck, but apparently he didn't. I thought he reached over to grab my deck to cut it and then grabbed my graveyard, but he just went straight for my graveyard. So unfortunately, the judge ruled because I didn't allow my opponent to cut. Like I said, I thought he did. I got a game loss. And then, we moved to game 2, I full comboed, and then game 3 he bricked, which he bricked actually both game 1 and game 2, so I was lucky, I guess. And then I won, and which honestly I shouldn't have won if he just summoned a card in defense because he had Nib and a Ryzel monster, and if he put it in defense position, I wouldn't have been able to do enough damage. So it was a saving grace. So thank God for that.
What to say? You got it. I mean, you already got the top, so
yeah. But I got my first top. Yep. We got the mat. We got the regional mat.
Yep.
Yeah, buddy.
Looks nice.
Yeah.
Yes, for all these Sword Soul players out here, me included.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, pleasure. Thank you for the profile. Again, thanks for everything. All right, you're welcome, and bye. All right, okay, bye. Okay, bye.